So Jetset Travel, I'm curious as to, it's a very specialized
Hmm.
job that you have.
Yep.
The people. I guess you can service everybody, but I'm guessing there's a certain kind of client that comes to you. Yeah, that's
Yeah. So what was that?
yeah, that's just looking for a very specific kind of travel.
Yes. So what I do, there are travel advisors out there for every type of travel. I do have a certain niche though. I cater to luxury travel. So I'm working with typically, the one percenters of the world. I do, I can do anything, but that's usually what I cater to. And then I'm also doing corporate travel. So that means, from either organizing CEOs travel or doing large events. So I do group travel too. So I'll do big incentive trips or I'll do, events that a company runs on a consistent basis. I'll go ahead and organize all of their contracts for hotels. So I do both. And then leisure travel is a huge aspect of part my, day-to-day job is I have clients in the leisure aspect, which is honeymoons to baby moons to weekend getaways to family trips to reunions, everything in between. I do all of that as well, but really concentrating on those five-star resorts.
How many of the five-star resorts have you been to?
That's a very hard question. And you know what? It's something I've never counted because before I even was a travel advisor, my last job, I was a director of events for a company and I also traveled to five-star properties.
Hmm.
And then I also used to work in five-star properties. So I mean, hundreds. I can't even, I don't even, it's hard for me to put a number on it because I site visit so much.
All right,
And
real.
I
I'm
also
gonna I'm gonna
stay.
I'm gonna cut you off, and I'm gonna say, even tougher question. Do you have
Yes, let's hear it.
a favorite?
Ooh, I have favorite brands
Oh,
Okay.
of
like
hotels.
hotels? Okay.
I do. So I love the Montage brand. Have you heard the Montage brand?
I feel like I have, yeah.
So
I'm
they
gonna have to
are
Google it.
mostly based in the United States. They did branch out and they have one now in Cabo, and they are building. They actually, I believe, are building in London, and I think there's some other ones in the works that are coming around. But they have, their first property was in Laguna Beach, California, and I actually worked for the company, so I am a little bit biased. I was in the back end of their company,
A little bit
so I know how
biased.
they run on the other side. What was that?
A little bit biased.
I am, but it could be the other way. Some people work for companies and they hate they hate that company or whatever it may be. So I've actually worked for them. I love what they do. And it's one of the biggest brands I send my clients to. So yes, Montage is one of my favorite properties. Their Laguna Beach property, I absolutely love. I also love their Deer Valley, Utah, which is right around the corner from me right now. It's a ski resort. And in addition to that, I love Four Seasons properties. So Four
Hmm.
Seasons properties to me it's all about their service and their consistency.
Hmm.
And that is huge because you go to one Four Seasons, it's going to be consistent, in Singapore or around the world, you're going to get the
Hmm.
same type of service. And I love walking into a hotel and knowing that I'm going to be receiving that type of service.
Yeah, we have.
It's all about the points, right? It's
It
all about the
is.
service.
It is. So those are some of my favorites. But to answer your specific question, what comes to mind for me as a favorite resort is a property in a large resort. It's actually a boutique resort, but it's very big in the aspect of everything that they have for, pools and restaurants. Their villas are just, there's a limited amount, but it's in the Maldives.
Oh,
And
of course it
it's,
is.
I know, it's called Cheval Blanc and it's beautiful. They have a few properties around the world, but their one in Maldives is breathtaking.
Two-part question, Addie, to go with that. So you wrote an article about all-inclusive travel and how you're not really a huge fan of them, except you found one down in Mexico that you really dug.
Mhm.
But you're talking about Maldives. Would you say, are there options for a middle-class family of four that you can offer? So,
Ab-
I mean, where it's like, hey, the Maldives is going to be what, 20 G's to get a family of four there probably, but there's like the Maldives part two, or there's something. Do you
yeah.
have options? Do you focus on options for all sorts of kind of travelers, or are you just busy enough with with a specific kind of client that it's tougher for you to focus on all those various options?
It really depends. And to answer your first question, yes, there are properties in the Maldives that do cater to 4 star hotels that are a little bit more budget friendly. But the only thing with Maldives that I tell people is, flying there itself is a little bit pricey. But yes, you can go there for a little bit of more of a reasonable cost. Uh, and also your second part of the question is, yes, I can. I mean, I can book any type of travel. I can book 2 stars if I was, if someone wanted me to. It's just not really so much my focus. In the beginning of my industry, I did take on anything when I started. Now, as I've gotten really busy, it's harder for me to take on the ones that might not hit a certain amount of money because it's so hard to reach out to that many people, and those actually take longer for me than the more luxury ones, which is surprising. But it's because I'm not as knowledgeable in those type of resorts and
Hmm.
hotels, and my focus and all my education is really focused on those 5 star properties, and that's also where my networking takes place with those hotels and my relationship building. So I've built all these relationships with these 5 star properties. So I have connections to really get my clients to be taken care of when they arrive at those properties. If someone wants a 3 or 4 star property, I have to myself do more research because I don't know that market as well. And I don't have the relationships like I do with those 5 star properties. So I can absolutely do it. It just takes me longer to do. So I don't focus on it. Um, I also don't like turning down business though. So I usually go ahead and assist that person and kind of help them out no matter what. But it might be either trading them off to somebody else that can really focus on that, or giving them options where they might be able to book on their own, and I can kind of lead them in that direction because I really do hate turning people away. Also, they could be a good referral source for me. So it's you got to really read that client and see what they're looking for.
So when you're doing the like CEO ones, are you just booking everything, or are you there on foot with them for like every activity they do? Because I've been a speaker at some of these things, and there's always someone that's there, like guiding them around
Yeah.
to the next thing. Is that you, or you're just fully behind the scenes?
So that's actually what I used to do. Before I did this job, I was the director of events for a company that I did everything from the initial contract process, narrowing down a hotel, and then I
Mm-hmm.
was there with the company, putting the event on and making sure every little aspect was taken care of. Now, what I do is I do the contract aspect of it and make sure that is all sorted out with the correct concessions and all the terms and conditions are how they need to be. And I hand it off to typically the events team who has an events manager who will be on property running the event. And of course, I'm there if needed from afar, but I'm not typically at events anymore. It's hard for me to do that. There are scenarios though, and I probably do about 1 or 2 a year, where I will go with a company or one of my clients to
To the
assist them.
Maldives.
But it's to the Maldives, yeah. But it's not common for me. Just my time is spent usually on behind the scenes.
Mercedes, this sounds like a great gig for you.
Yeah,
Well,
completely.
no, I work in events too, so it's always nice to hear that side of the story because so many people just don't think about the things that like are done behind the scenes,
Oh, so
and people
many
wouldn't be there
events.
without
It's
them.
hard.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of funny.
events is it's one of the hardest jobs I have ever done because you have to go into it knowing that it's not going to be perfect that day of an
Hmm.
event or even prior to an event, and you have to be on your toes. You have to think really fast to fix something, to make a
Hmm.
solution. You gotta be creative, and it's hard because things always not necessarily go wrong, but go differently.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I'm in events as well, Addie, and
Yeah.
I have that moment when the lights go out and the band comes on. That's usually a pretty
Oof.
great moment in the day. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
we were able to load in, we got to show up, everyone's in the building. I don't know what that's going to look like now, but we're going
I
to go
know,
through
right?
it. Thanks for stopping by, friends, to the Brenton On Tour podcast channel on YouTube. Coffee, music, travel, life, all of those things. One page, lots of guests, lots of chatter. We talk about all of it. If you like it, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Thanks, friends. See you next time.